Greetings, friends. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I am so grateful that you are here. Welcome to this special forecast. It's not really that special. It is a seasonal forecast, and we are going to look at the main astrological themes for the upcoming season that is marked by our December solstice, technically on the very early hours here on the east coast of the US on the 21st of December. So welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate all of you so very much. Thank you for being here for this special forecast. So we're going to kind of jump back and forth between the tropical or Western astrological chart with whole sign astrology and move over to the stellarium software, look at the actual sky and the transits of the luminaries and all of the planets through the constellations in what would be real time with the stellarium software, and just kind of go back and forth and really see what jumps out at all of us, right? This is a forecast just like the weather, and astrology provides a template. It's a blueprint of frequency and vibrational opportunity, but how we interact with that is based on the choice in every moment in terms of these energetic potentials. So I'm not really into making predictions so much as how can we use astrology as a means for personal development, for spiritual evolution, for soul growth. So strangely enough, this upcoming solstice, which is when the sun reaches 0 degrees Capricorn in Western astrology, and I'm going to do a little tutorial, just a brief one, bear with me, astrology people, as I explain yet again the difference between sidereal and Western astrology, what it means when the sun is at a certain position, how the solstices and the equinoxes are marked, just to give people a frame of reference. Because I am attempting here to teach people how to read this map as opposed to being dependent on someone like me to read it for you. That's how we got into, I would say, the mess at a global evolutionary level to begin with, right? Is not being able to read the map for ourselves with our intuition, certainly with our critical thought and our own observation. And astrology is a great tool to have that conversation with our higher self and, the map, the temporal map, and the cosmic imprint of universe, right? It all comes from one singular source. So, strangely enough, the solstice itself, the December solstice, is going to be in a T-square with the nodes of the moon. So for those of you who are familiar with all of these things, then you know that the nodes of the moon represent the trajectory of the soul in its process of evolution and learning. And the north node is akin to the head of a dragon and is pulling us in the direction that our soul wants to go towards in order to maximize our growth, our learning, our evolution, right? The idea that this blueprint already exists, that we signed on to it when we came into incarnation, knowing full well what all the potentials are. So interesting that the sign that we talk about just spiritual evolution in general and using astrology as that one of those tools and as a map truly, and to also have this solstice really mark this kind of soul evolution point here, this T-square. So we'll get into all the ins and outs of what this represents. I will say that part of this forecast is is the upcoming Christmas holiday and New Year's as well, and then we're looking January, February out into March up to the equinox point. So the sun, we're going to follow the sun a lot in this forecast just because these solstice and equinoxes mark the quarterly journey of the sun or our relationship with the sun, but also too it's going to be very active, I found, during this next 3 months with transits to larger planets, especially coming into February and early March when everything stacks up into Pisces and the sun and Saturn and Neptune and the north node of the moon, speaking of the north node of the moon, all gonna be together at this late degree of Pisces, which is where Neptune is right now. So just to first, for some, if you haven't already watched the full moon, the full moon forecast that I just put up around and put on how the Orion star seeds, it was your time to shine. We're still in this full moon and well, we're out of the full moon period now. We're in the disseminating moon phase of this whole lunar cycle that started with a new moon in Sagittarius. We had a full moon in the sign of Gemini. And if you've already watched it, then you know that one of the things I said was that we're going to have plenty of opportunities from now until the end of this lunar cycle, which is pretty much New Year's Eve, right? The 30th is the next new moon, to really practice the skill set, I suppose, of using resistance and inhibition as an opportunity to rise above it, right? And this, of course, is where the Orion starseeds really shine, because it's in duality that they really they really get into the essence of what makes them grow. So I would encourage you, if you haven't listened to it already, to go back and listen to it, because the transits that just happened, the sun in a square to Neptune, this is going to be something that ripples out into the next couple of months. It's going to be something that we continue to come back to as things start to congregate in Pisces, the sign of Pisces, and truly the constellation of Pisces, as we're going to see on the Stellarium software, and where Neptune is. There is this coalescing, there's a convergence at these degrees. And for anybody who's had the readings with me, the starseed readings, the galactic astrology, then you know that anything with 25, 26, 27 degrees is a starseed marking and an activation. So not only was that square with the sun and Neptune a big part of it, but this especially the Pisces aspect, it's going to ripple out continually over the next 3 months with this next quarter, right? This next season, which it represents an apex or the complete bottom of something, right? We have reached the point of the pendulum swing in its fullness and ready to change course, which is what these solstices are all about. So we've reached a completion point somewhere in our lives, and that depends on where you find Cancer and Capricorn in your chart. So this late degree of Pisces, everything that's going to be converging, making the starseed connection, making the connection to the sidereal astrology and the actual position in the sky. We're going to do all of these things because this is a transition point, not only seasonally as it is every single year, but it's very karmically and at a soul evolution level. So I really want to go into and kind of focus on this area. So now, after the Gemini full moon video where I'm like, Orion starseeds, this is your wheelhouse, right? This resistance. Well, just know that even with that, we all still have to merge back into source, right? The resistance of Gemini, and even the resistance creating the friction of true understanding and wisdom, which is the Sagittarius energy, which is where the sun has been and has squared Neptune. And I'm going to get into that too, because the galactic center was involved. Even with that, the knowing that there's something new that's created from the alchemical process of duality and our process with it, we all still have to merge back into oneness, to give ourselves over to the not just the fruits of our own labor, but what it creates in terms of a collective experience. Pisces being a water sign and a mutable water sign, it is very feeling based and experiential at the emotional and spiritual level. And in these late degrees, with Neptune being the ruling planet, this area is really, we're just going to become one with that karma. And I've been feeling that for a while in terms of this shift of the nodes into Pisces and Virgo. So all of this is converging. So even with that resistance, just know that that's a temporary experience. We have to eventually come back into that oneness, and that can be a beautiful, inspiring experience, right? When those walls come dissolving away, and we experience true unconditional love and compassion and a sense of connection. That's That's the best case scenario with Pisces right there. But there's also delusion, there's also illusion, right? There is the idea of the holographic universe. There is this sense of everything and nothing is part of Pisces. There really is no boundary between your individual experience and personality and everything else, which can be a maddening experience as well. But ultimately, this is drawing my attention considerably for the next 3 months. So when I did the eclipse forecast, since the eclipses have been along the axis of the equinoxes, I made a point to mention that this solstice time was also going to mark this transition of the nodes of the moon, the journey of our soul in this moment. And so anybody born at this time is going to have the nodes of the moon. Their personal soul is going to be following this trajectory, but we're all feeling it, we're all experiencing it. This process is going to shift out of Aries and Libra, which is cardinal, which is very masculine. You have fire and air. You have the seed and the harvest of the seed, right? That is Aries and Libra in terms of the time of year, spring and fall. That's about to shift, and the soul being pulled in this direction of Pisces, where we're going to experience the total dissolution into uh, full full union with what is, and that is our karma, right? I mean, that's the realm of the Akash in some ways, right? Everything is imprinted in pattern in the whole, right? No matter what. And so if Virgo, which is where the moon is right now, leading up to, strangely enough, leading up to the solstice with the moon in Virgo right now, the Virgo is like our dharma, right? Our responsibility, our work, our work as, or our service as our spiritual practice is Virgo. That's our dharma, but Pisces is the karma, right? You live through the whole experience of what that creates and what that contributes to, and what type of consciousness is developed as a result, which is all this Aquarius energy. So I know that's a lot of stuff here. So let's start just getting into the specifics of what just transpired, because I think it's really important. Like I said, I talked about all the squares this week, and they will continue. And again, watch a video because I address these things, and the upcoming new moon in Capricorn, which is going to be on the 30th of January, or I'm sorry, December. We're gonna start talking about what's to come. But I would go back and listen, because we still have Jupiter square Saturn. If the Sun square Neptune wasn't enough for you, the Jupiter square Saturn on Christmas Eve is going to be another great opportunity to practice that inhibiting circumstance, or that difficult situation, or that uncomfortable set of feelings or interactions that's going to make you, find the antithesis of that and alchemize that situation, right? We still are in this period of time where we're doing that. So, and I'm sure many people are going to have their own stories of people I've been talking to personally, clients in my in the trenches day job, which is massage and body work and energy work. There have been multiple people on the same day with this Sun square Neptune that just happened. I believe it was exact on Wednesday. Lots of exits, right? Two people on the same day had immediate family members that died that day, right? And other things too. It's like the veil gets very thin. Your vitality is very weakened. Your immune system is weakened. I definitely felt it in my own way. Other people were having experiences and symptoms that were congruent with that they were having, weaker defenses. And that is a Sun square Neptune 100%. The added layer of that is that Neptune is the ruling planet of Pisces in these last degree of Pisces, these star seed activating degrees of Pisces, in a square to the Sun at the galactic center, which is the center of all of the it is the, it is the core and the root of the pattern of our entire galaxy is coming from the center, and incredible energies that are definitely rippling out to the entire galaxy, including us. And so that square not only weakened vitality, but it was just, the veil has been so thin that it is letting in a lot, and it's letting in a lot that's just letting in a it's just letting in quite a bit. Like the veil got very, very thin, and everything and anything was able to be, overlapping with our experience. But the standard of weakened vitality, weakened immune system, the fact that people exited, and honestly, even though it's a square and those are difficult, this was a good time for a soul to exit with the sun square Neptune like this, because of the connection to the galactic center. I think that these are windows that open up, that, the body and the personality wasn't going to really serve the soul's purpose beyond this point. And so they exit. But there's been a lot of that, right? And there has been people just, and me and as well, just a lot of intense dreams, dream intrusion. That's the other thing with the sun square Neptune. So the reason I'm bringing this up is, support. We need to support each other, because it can be really intense moment with this transit that just happened. But there's more squares, right? The Jupiter Saturn square is coming. Chiron is going to station direct. Venus is just came off that really nice trine with Jupiter. That was nice. That was nice. But and Mercury's now direct. So this this connection to especially Neptune and Pisces in this particular degree, 26, 27, actually really anywhere from 25 to 30 degrees of Pisces is going to come up big time over the next 3 months. And it's just now starting. So you can certainly extrapolate into any area you want in terms of what that's going to specifically mean. I can definitely see it in terms of people's health, their wellness, their energetic, their astral hygiene, their energetic hygiene, their physical hygiene, but even too their mental hygiene as well, right? The hygiene around their belief systems versus the experience of oneness, right? Those are different things. That Sag and Pisces square represents the fact that you can believe and have understanding and wisdom all day long, but eventually you have to live the experience of that belief system, and that can be, again, that can completely just melt you into formlessness, right? In a good way or not so good way, right? There is and really can collapse time in some, because that time doesn't really function within the realm of Pisces or the 12th house, right? This is the subconscious, the collective unconscious. This is the formless, the shapeless, the oneness. Again, this period, this not this period, well, this period right now is going to translate out through the next coming months, especially with the nodes of the moon and Neptune being conjunct here. I mean, wow. Talk about like our soul's purpose really just being completely, just blasted in some ways with, just washed over like a baptism or something with Neptune in Pisces. Oh boy. So, like I said, it's going to have, however this is translated out to you, it has brought something out that needs to be at least acknowledged and felt over the last couple weeks. And I'm sure it spanned a lot, but I did notice quite a few people having, all kinds of disappointments and weakened vitality, very tired, which also is, connected to your lack of immunity or suppressed immunity. So now let's talk about how the sun is in a square not only to Neptune but into the nodes of the moon, right? So I thought this would be a good opportunity to go on over to here. Let me get this out of the way as well, or at least minimize this logo so you know what you're watching. But it's not really taking up the whole screen. Okay. So I thought it would be good now to kind of look at where the sun actually is in terms of the solstice. So this Stellarium software, as I've said before in other broadcasts, it's free. You just download it and you just gotta make sure that it. Here, I'm gonna bring the camera back. Okay. There we go. You just want to make sure that you have enough space on your device. There is a mobile version as well, and it's it's a planetary or a planetarium type of software, and you have all kinds of features that let you search stuff and to look from any vantage point. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of tutorial real quick, and like I said at the beginning, if I said it at the beginning of this take, I don't remember if I did. I do this all in one take, right? I don't edit things at all. So if it takes me sometimes a couple takes to like really get going, but once I go, it's I don't really need to edit anything. It's just like a stream of consciousness. So this no, now we're going to talk about sidereal astrology, which is looking at where these bodies, the planets, the stars, and well, the planets and the luminaries, right? The sun and the moon, and other things you might want to look at, right? Asteroids, comets, things like that, in the actual sky in relation to the fixed stars, right? Which make up the constellations. And these constellations also have a boundary line that is used to mark, a portion of space. But it's not the same as Western astrology, which actually creates this grid pattern in our field of view, which is 360 degrees. And at the vernal equinox, when the sun is at that equal portion of light and dark in March, that marks 0 degrees Aries in the grid system. And from there, each sign is an equal 30 degrees. Right now, they're kind of lined up with the constellations, but not really. But this is where precession of the equinoxes comes in. Every 70 so years, the grid moves a degree. And so eventually the 12 zodiac signs based on the vernal equinox will not even be in relationship to the actual constellations. They'll be in complete opposition. But that takes a long time, right? You're moving 1 degree every 70 years. You multiply that by 180 degrees and you're going to get several thousand years, maybe like 12,000 years, 13,000 years. So for now, they're close enough that we can make comparisons, but I want to point out where the sun is at the solstice in relation to the actual constellations, because this actually came up in the last lunar cycle, which was the new moon conjunct Antares, which was right here in the Scorpio constellation, the heart of the Scorpion. So the 12 zodiac signs are based off the 12 constellations along the ecliptic, which is the path of the sun in relation to us, is the ecliptic or the ecliptic plane. So this is where the sun doesn't go very far in north in the this time of year in the northern hemisphere. This is as far north as it goes in terms of the ecliptic when it comes to this time of year here. So, but look, it's right here in relation to Ophiuchus and Sagittarius, right? It's actually right here at the bow of Sagittarius. Now, I just wanted to show that to you, and then we're going to, later we'll look at other things, and we'll look at the progression of the sun through the sky and where it ends up at the equinox, what constellation and things like that. But I'll bring it back to the chart here.